Alts are driven by the business cycle. Listen to Scott Bessent. He's telling you all day, as is Trump, is we're going to have a banner year next year. Why? Because they're going to jam the market with liquidity and they're going to jam fiscal stimulus through as well.
Billionaire investor Raoul Pal has just revealed the exact date for alt season in 2026. And it all has to do with the business cycle.
Because what happens is when earnings go up, when the business cycle is strong, you have more earnings and you invest those earnings further out the risk curve. It's just really basic stuff.
In this video, I will show you the exact date altcoin season happens. According to Raoul Pal, according to other experts.
That's also really good for the business cycle. The ISM moving back above 50 has historically been associated with actually super cycle moves in Bitcoin and Ethereum.
It happens for exactly the same as small caps, exactly the same with junk bonds, credit. They all operate in exactly the same way.
See, what you don't get is that most people are completely confused about what's actually going to happen next year. And to be honest, from what I see, most people are actually dead wrong. Raoul Pal is getting laughed at hard right now for even suggesting this. I'll play you the clip and you can be the judge for yourself.
Yeah, the banana zone point in the cycle has had less liquidity. I only really found this out over the summer when I redid the maths on all of this.
Raoul Pal has finally put his exact thoughts on record. First of all, is altcoin season coming and is it happening soon? Raoul Pal says yes.
Alts are driven by the business cycle. So with the business cycle currently low, we haven't had alt season. And everyone's like, I can't believe they've robbed us of alt season. It's never going to happen. There's too many tokens. We can't have nice things and all of that bullshit we hear all day. It's not. It's just the economy's stupid. Because what happens is when earnings go up, when the business cycle is strong, you have more earnings and you invest those earnings further out the risk curve. It's just really basic stuff. It happens for exactly the same as small caps, exactly the same with junk bonds, credit. They all operate in exactly the same way, and the business cycle has been subdued. Listen to Scott Bessent. He's telling you all day, as is Trump, is we're going to have a banner year next year. Why? Because they're going to jam the market with liquidity, and they're going to jam fiscal stimulus through as well. Yeah, if you think about it, the US is a service-based economy. They're going to get rid of tax on tips. That's a huge boost to people. There's like $1.5 trillion that will flow into the banking system just from that stuff alone, from the big, beautiful bill. Then we've got the changes to the SLR that allows maybe $3 or $4 trillion of credit creation from the banking system. We've got enormous amounts of this stuff lining up. Why? Because they want to win the election. You know, the good thing is, for once, we've actually got a macro hedge fund manager running the treasury. So I know how he thinks. He was a long-term global macro investor subscriber. I've known him for 20 years. And he understands the game, which is jam the business cycle going into the elections. So we've got that. We've got the debt to roll. It's kind of stacking up, and it tells you your beloved, or our beloved, alt season is still to come.
So, altcoin season is happening. But when you remember it was just a month or two ago, Raoul Pal started talking about this. The 4-year cycle is now the 5-year cycle. He was laughed at for saying this at the time.
The 4-year cycle this time around is a 5-year cycle. Why do we have an elongated business cycle that looks like virtually no other time? It's because in 2021-22, they actually extended the maturity of the debt from 4 years to 5 years. So that extension of the maturity of debt has pushed out the business cycle a year. The 4-year cycle this time around is a 5-year cycle. And this is what it looks like. The 5.4-year sine curve, 5.4 years is the exact average weighted maturity of the debt. And it tells us the ISM should peak by 2026.
And the funny thing is, cut to today and now, it actually seems like other market experts are starting to agree with him. Tom Lee says all of this starts in January, and he actually references the same exact reasoning Raoul Pal is referencing.
So the ISM moving back above 50 has historically been associated with actually super cycle moves in Bitcoin and Ethereum.
You hear people saying QE is coming, the liquidity is coming, buy Bitcoin or buy whatever crypto asset or buy stocks because this is coming. So it's important to know whether it's coming or not.
Comes from the banks, though.
Yeah, but yeah, in the crypto world, QT was draining liquidity. So the ending of QT is essentially QE, because if they're just holding the balance sheet flat, they are still going to be essentially adding liquidity to the system.
Just to maintain the size.
Yes.
So do crypto prices keep going? Do you have a bullish view still on small caps if we're finally going to get that rate coming down a little bit? Where should people look for alpha or outperformance?
Yeah, I mean, like 2026 is a year like there's a new Fed, right? But a dovish tilt. And at a time when the ISM's been below 50 for a record more than 3 years. So that's really good for small caps. And as Barry says, if they deregulate banking, and we were talking about this offline, that's really good for small caps. But that's also really good for the business cycle. And we've talked about this in some of our past research. Crypto prices are really sensitive to the ISM. So the ISM moving back above 50 has historically been associated with actually super cycle moves in Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Wait, ISM going into expansion territory is positive for Bitcoin? And
correct.
For all, interesting.
Yeah, and so if you look at ISM and Bitcoin, and you detrend Bitcoin, essentially look at its distance from the 200-day, it's almost perfectly correlated to the ISM.
Surprising.
And same thing with copper to gold prices. So copper's an industrial metal versus gold is a monetary.
Right, but all of that tells you that it's basically just risk on, that they're all behaving like an economy. And am I overcharacterizing
Yeah, I think
it?
I think that's right. I think Bitcoin's a bit of a chameleon because there'll probably be a time when it acts like gold, but right now it acts a lot more like it's sensitive to monetary policy and the business cycle, and both are about to turn up. So that would mean anybody who thinks the Bitcoin 4-year cycle means crypto prices are down next year, we're betting against that thinking that new highs come early,
That's
like in
fascinating.
January.
So when does altcoin season happen? What is the date? Well, obviously we can't give you the exact hour or the exact day, but this is when you should be expecting altcoin season to happen. According to Raul Pauls,
We had this perfect 4-year cycle. And this is where everybody's scratching their heads right now is, what the hell's going on? Has the cycle finished? That's the big question everyone debates all day. And for me, you can see what's happened here. There used to be this perfect 4-year cycle, and suddenly it's changed. Well, what happened here is we've added an extra year. In 2022, at the beginning of 22, rates were still at 0, and they extended the debt maturity by a year to 5 years. So we've got an extra year in the equation. So all of the debts that need to get rolled in 2026 and not 2025. So that's why we've had less liquidity than we've expected at this point. You know, the banana zone point in the cycle has had less liquidity. I only really found this out over the summer when I redid the maths on all of this and realized, okay, wow, they've actually changed the structure of liquidity here. So when we change it to the new 5.4 year where the debt maturity is, this is what we're going to get. So again, it gives you an idea that we're probably likely to peak out towards the end of 2026 in terms of liquidity as opposed to this year. So probabilistically speaking, which is how I think about the world, we've got further to go and we've got the big liquidity burst to come.
he further talks about it here.
Our best guess remains well into 2026, probably Q2.
So will it happen? Yes. When will it happen? Towards the end of 2026, maybe a peak in Q2. Either way, we will be ready. Thank you for watching my video so far. Please watch my previous videos to stay up to date with the latest news in the crypto field. Please like, subscribe, and comment on how you see the future of crypto. See you in another video. Goodbye.